everyone, I'm Rachel.
And I'm David.
And today we're ranking our top 5 rides at Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, California.
Let's rank! So over the years, we've done so many different things and a lot of them align, and I'm always asking Rachel, where does this rank compared to all of our other experiences? And sometimes they're related, sometimes they're not, but we thought it'd be a really fun game to kind of rank them and surprise each other about certain topics. Sometimes we kind of know where certain things rank and what's better than, other things we've done, but I think this is a really good experiment to kind of see officially where does something rank on our list. So we wanted to share this with you guys and see what you guys think and maybe get some of your lists out there.
Every time we do one of these lists, we're going to have certain rules. Today, we are ranking our top 5 rides at Disneyland Resort. So rule number 1 is that you must get into a ride vehicle. That means no parades and no shows. Rule number 2 is that it must still be in operation as of the date of this recording. Rule number 3 is that we must have both ridden the attraction in order for it to qualify. And rule number 4 is that we are not including any sort of holiday overlay.
So before we start, we're going to make some predictions, and I really want to know, Rachel, do you think my list is going to be very predictable? Do you think there's going to be 1 or 2 surprises for this particular category? Or do you think you got it all nailed down pretty much? You kind of know roughly where what I'm going to have and maybe where it's even going to rank, because we've been so many times together with this particular category. We know each other pretty well, so I'd be a little surprised if I didn't know your list, but I'm curious, what are your predictions for this one?
Yeah, for me, I think we go to Disneyland together a lot.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be somewhat in the same ballpark, but I do think that you are actually going to look at this through a little bit more of a nostalgia lens than I'm going to. For all the viewers out there, David grew up going to Disneyland, where my first time going to Disneyland was on our honeymoon. So I don't really have as much nostalgia attached to some of these rides. That being said, we've gone a lot over the time we've been married. So I do have some nostalgia and some memories and things that are going to influence my list, but I do think there might be a couple of picks on David's list that are, might not be the newest, shiniest thing, but it's very special to him in his childhood, and that's why he put on the list. So that's my prediction.
Yeah, Disney's always been super special in my family. I remember going when Toontown first opened. I remember all that. So growing up in San Diego, it wasn't very far for us. My dad worked in the military, and they got discounts for Disneyland, so we went relatively often. It was a very, very special occasion. We didn't have much money, but it was everything to us as kids. So Disney does hold a very special place in my heart. I'm not going to reveal anything to this one, but I think a couple things are going to pop up where she's going to be like, David, this is a nostalgia pick. But I think it's a beautiful park. Obviously, we love it, and it meant so much to me to be able to take her, and her first time being our honeymoon, that really meant something to me, and her being open to that was everything to me. So I wouldn't consider myself like a Disney adult necessarily, but Disney is super special to our family as a whole.
So then, now that I gave you some of my predictions, do you have any predictions about my list?
I think the lower ones are what I'm a little worried about with Rachel. I think I know what hits. I know what her smackers are, and I love that. But so the order might be a little different. In a minute here, we're going to talk about a couple honorable mentions, and that's going to kind of potentially reveal where I think her list is headed. We legitimately have no idea how we ranked any of this. So this is all genuine. I think I know what number 1 is. And I think Rachel might, and she can reveal this later, I think she might have had a little bit of a struggle placing the number 1. I know I did. So I'm really curious to see what that ends up being. The ones down here, I still feel really passionate about 4 and 5. So I really, really struggled putting the 5th spot in and what was going to end up being an honorable mention. And like Rachel said, there's certain factors that come into it for me. I have a deep respect for the things I experienced as a kid, but I also have my mind blown by some of the newer stuff. So I think I was legitimately fair about where I place things, and I'm going to talk about a couple personal things along the way too, so that'll be really interesting to see how this ends up, I think.
Yeah, I am very excited to see how our lists play out.
Yeah. So before we start, we do have some honorable mentions. I really did put a lot of thought into my list. It means a lot to me. All these rides tug at my heartstrings, or they have something really special about them, and I legitimately thought for a few hours trying to figure out what was going to make this list. And so I don't think it would be fair not to mention a couple of rides that really do hit home with me that didn't make the list. This doesn't mean they're bad rides. In fact, any ride we don't rank doesn't mean it's a bad ride or anything. Disneyland Resort as a whole is ridiculously incredible. People travel from all over the world to experience it once, and if you have never been, I implore you, please give it a try. It's incredible, especially if you grew up watching Disney movies and things like that. So without further ado, I do want to throw out an honorable mention to one of my favorites. It's a recent addition to Disneyland Resort, and it's Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Okay.
I think it is freaking adorable. I know a lot of people don't particularly like the art style in it, but there are certain, and I don't really like how Mickey and Minnie and Goofy look in it, like particularly, but I think the show scenes are just so gorgeous, and I think the way they look is probably why I ended up cutting it. But I think the trackless ride system is flawless in that I love the use of the dance scene, you know, Everybody Tango.
Now, let's...
Uh-oh. I think that's so adorable. There are so many scenes where I think, oh my god, this is so cute. And I love the music in it. I think it's super freaking cute.
If you don't know the song, it is a complete earworm.
Yeah, it's a banger. It's a banger.
Go find it.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, obviously. But Mickey and Minnie, I think the story is actually really cute. I love the pre-show. I think that's adorable. Sometimes you get the cast member that's way into it, and they talk to Goofy and everything. And I love that. That warms my heart. I feel like if the art style was a little bit different, I think people would adore this ride. And because of that, I think that's hard, right? I think portraying Mickey and Minnie in a dark ride is going to be ridiculously difficult. It took them, you know, decades essentially to come up with this idea. And I think the shorts as a whole that this is based around are all really cute and stuff. So I just think it's a fun ride. I think the ride length is great. It's smooth. It feels new and clean. It's always up and running when we're there. I know early on the virtual queue system was a joke and everything, but I legitimately love it. We get off of that ride and I have a big smile on my face, and we talk about it. I'll whistle the song throughout the day and stuff. So that's kind of my first honorable mention. Do you enjoy that ride or?
Oh yeah, I really do enjoy that ride. It's really fun. Like I said, the song is a complete earworm.
It really
if you
is.
haven't heard it, go try to find it because it's so good.
Yeah.
The pre-show is amazing.
It's really cool.
Every time I go into it, I always look for the people that have never ridden the ride before
Yeah.
because I want to see their reaction in the pre-show room.
And we always kind of move to the back because we can kind of tell that we don't want to block people from being able to see. If you've never been on it, you're going to want to kind of be able to see over people for that particular part of the pre-show. So it's just adorable. And I had to throw a mention out for it because I legitimately love it, and it's newer, and I just think it's cute.
I also have an honorable mention. This did not make my top 5 list because I can't in good conscience put it in my top 5 list. I was more thinking of honorable mention as just a ride I really enjoy, but it's not like a technological marvel or reinventing the wheel of anything. It's just good old-fashioned fun. And for that, my honorable mention is Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. I love this ride.
Oh,
David is laughing because he knows how much I love this ride.
We love this ride. It's ridiculous how much we love this ride.
It's so fun.
It's
just a really good time. If you don't know what this ride is, it's basically you get into the back of Mater's truck and they play a song and it's being sung by Maters and they just whip you around. It's not as violent as like a traditional scrambler, but it can get pretty whippy. And if you're with somebody that is wearing slippery pants, which I inevitably always wear like jegging or leggings and like slippery pants to Disneyland. So I always end up sliding over into David. And
it amplifies the fun.
Yeah.
Because she's sliding all over the place.
I just laugh, and it's just so fun. And like, I always have a smile on my face when I'm riding that ride.
It's fantastic.
One of my other favorite things is sometimes we take our friend with us, and he rides it in a car by himself, and he just sits there with his arms folded, and he looks so angry.
But sometimes he'll have a little smile on his face because he knows it's fun.
But we're just sitting there laughing, and it's just such a good time. And like I said, it's not like a technological marvel. It's not
a must do.
If you know you only have one day and you don't have anything else to do. But like, I just love this ride, so I wanted to mention it.
I think that's fair. I love Mater's. I think it's adorable. I don't particularly like the Cars franchise.
Yeah.
But every time we ride this, it's nonstop laughing. And, you know, there's usually not a long wait, so you don't feel like you wasted your time. It's in a really easy spot to get to, too, by the way. If you're just meandering through California Adventure, it's super easy to get to. And you can kind of slip in, do it, and keep going down to Pixar Pier or something like that. So I genuinely, if everything's got a crazy wait, you know, hop in Mater's real quick and give it a try. If you're with somebody you love, you got slippery pants on, just give it a shot. It's really fun, honestly.
Yeah. And that's a good point about not having a long wait, because a lot of times the main Cars ride in Cars Land has a very, very long wait. So if you have kids that maybe love cars, but you don't want to wait in that line, this is a really good, easy compromise where you can spend 10, 15 minutes and ride a really fun ride with your
Agreed,
kids.
yeah. And it's got a pretty good ride length, you know, it's not crazy.
Yeah.
And if they have both sides open, man, hop in that line because it's gonna go pretty quick.
Fast,
So
yeah.
I can't like, you know, give you credit for this pick as an honorable mention, but we did have different definitions for honorable mentions. I love Mater's. I have you know, about 100 hours of ride footage on Mater's because I legitimately think it's a fun ride. So give it a shot, honestly. If you've never been on it or you thought, oh, that's going to be stupid, it's just a fun little scrambler, man, and it's going to be a good time. So I have to do one more honorable mention. I know people are going to be incredibly mad that this did not make my list. And I'm a little disappointed in myself. I've been back and forth on it. I swear to you, I've struggled with this. Okay, Rachel knows how serious I take these things.
I'm interested. I'm very intrigued right now.
You might be surprised here because I'm telling you, I spent hours thinking about this. I told you I struggled making this list, and it was because of this region right here, 4, 5, and inevitably number 6. And I went back and forth. I moved this around. Without further ado, forgive me, Dad. This is my father's favorite ride at Disneyland. I did not rank Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh my heck.
I know. Rachel's good.
Okay.
I'm telling you guys. So a lot of people are gonna be mad about this. I know. I'm mad at myself for it. Just thinking back on it now, like I tinkered with this so much that I could tinker with it right now and throw it on there. But Pirates of the Caribbean to me is super special. I remember the first time I rode it. I remember my dad telling me the story of what this ride was about in line. We were in line. I can visually see it. I'm serious, and it meant a lot to my dad. I vividly remember going through the bayou and seeing the restaurant and thinking, "Whoa, that's where like super rich people eat and everything like that." And you know, it's very expensive, but the ambiance of that particular portion of the ride is incredible. The ride is incredible as a whole. I'm telling you, like the number of animatronics, the scenes, the flow of the ride from scene to scene is beautiful. It's incredible. The drop scared the crap out of me as a kid. I remember being scared of the old guy on the rocking chair. I vividly remember it. It's weird. And so this was one of those ones where I went, okay, if I only have, you know, an hour left in the park, is this going to be the one that I do? Is this something I'm rope dropping? No, I don't really rope drop it. I don't really like sitting in the wet seat. I feel like and I had to get down to this much detail. I was like, okay, the benches kind of hurt my butt after a while. They're not quite long enough. So I had to nitpick that far down. And I think legitimately, Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland Resort is an incredible ride. Its counterpart in Disney World, it's kind of hit or miss for me. It feels familiar enough to be excited about, but for me, I had to cross it off the list, and it breaks my heart a little bit. And like I said, I could move it back in very easily. I could be persuaded one way or another. I think it's a legitimately incredible ride. I think it's quintessential Disney. But it just got bumped slightly, and I'll have to justify that here in a few. So apologies to all my incredible fellow Pirates of the Caribbean fans out there. I know it's an incredible ride. I legitimately love it. And again, I struggled back and forth with this. So please forgive me.
Yeah, I'm shocked, to say the least. I thought this was going to be one on your list for sure. Maybe 4 or 5, but still on the list. Yeah. So I'm really interested to see what kicked this one off of it.
Yeah, I think when I did the first draft, I think I actually had it at 3. And then when I started, maybe 4. And then when I started really kind of thinking about it, and I'm like, God. And I started hitting certain ones, and I'm like, there are just things about this that are super special. I have to have it on the list, and I'll get into that a little bit. But it does break my heart. I'm serious. It breaks my heart not having it on there. because it means so much to my dad, which my dad means everything to me, and you know, our family's everything. So I'll have to justify it to him too a little bit. But we do love Pirates. I swear it would have been on there. It could still be on there in the sense that I could be persuaded, but yeah, it hurts. It hurts not having it on there. I had to mention it. So I made an effort. We were only going to do one honorable mention, but I had to mention this one because it's ridiculously special to me. And I'm kind of hoping that it's on Rachel's list so we can talk about it a little bit more. But Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland, unfortunately, missed my list just barely. I'm sorry.
And now, without further ado, we will get into our official lists. I do want to say shout out to David for making this really cool website for us to do our lists on. So that's pretty awesome. All right, so my number 5 is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Oh, okay.
So we already talked about this, but one thing you did not mention is the queue.
Yeah, that's true.
And again, we're specifically talking about Disneyland here. Disney World has this ride as well. It's different. The Disneyland queue is amazing. If you have not been on this ride, even if it has a long wait, you should just go through the queue once because they have, it's really cute. Like they pretend like Mickey's a real person and he has like props from all of his little movies and shorts that he does. They have posters in the hallways of Mickey starring in other things. Special shout out to Toonsies, which is a parody of Newsies that they put Mickey in at the beginning. That's good. Like my favorite. But they have like a concession stand.
I was about to mention, and they got the power lines from a Goofy movie.
It's like the queue is just, it's really ingenious. It's one of the best queues that they've built
ever. There's only like a couple maybe Universal queues that are, top it.
I agree.
And in terms of cuteness, I don't know if there's a better, cuter queue. You know, Universal has like the Green Gods Bank or whatever. That's all gorgeous and stuff. But yeah, you're right. The queue is legitimately incredible at the Disneyland one.
It's good for nostalgia. Like even if you're a old-fashioned Mickey fan or a new Mickey fan, there's like something for everybody in that queue. Besides the queue though, like I just love that pre-show. We talked about it a little bit, so I'm not going to go into it that much. But like the pre-show itself is so amazing. And then you step into a cartoon, you take this ride. Why it made my list was just like the technology is amazing.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
I don't have as much of a problem with the art style as a lot of people do. Because I didn't grow up really watching Mickey and Minnie. So for me, it's not like stomping on anything that I grew up on. I love the story. The music is great. I love that you see so many different characters and so many different scenes. I think they just did a really good job utilizing the space that they had. And you go through so many different areas and see so many different things. I just love just pretty much everything about this ride. I love that even if you start in the front, you don't end up in the front.
That is weird. That's disorienting at first, but I love that. The colors are so vibrant on that ride too. I forgot to mention every scene. Yeah, you see lots of different characters, but the way it's painted too, like just the craftsmanship that went into that ride is genuinely gorgeous. It's a really pretty ride, and you don't feel like you're inside the whole time, but it doesn't. It has like this weird, I don't know, cohesion between being inside, but you're seeing outdoor scenes, and it feels really cool. It feels like you stepped into a cartoon.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like
super weird.
You're in a show building.
Yeah, you're not in a show building.
And like the last scene is my favorite, and they sing. They have a little picnic, and they sing, and there's fireworks, and like just the glow of the lamps. The way just the Imagineers designed the entire thing is just so amazing, and I just love this ride, so that is why it made my top 5.
No, I think that's valid. I think so. I've been on this ride with people who don't look at a ride from like the technical perspective, or they don't look for every little nuance or detail built into the ride, and they've said, "Whoa, those lamps look cool," and I'm like, you don't normally notice things like that, and the lamps are really cool, and they're like painted in a very specific way, and that's just one example of like the kind of detail that went into this ride. And it's a legitimately great ride. It's another one of those ones with like a weird short bench that kind of bothers me. My butt kind of falls asleep because the ride's a little longer. My only real complaint about it is that there are scenarios where you'll be the last one into a scene and then the first one out of that scene, so you kind of miss a little bit of what happened. Or towards the end, if you've been on the ride, you know that there's something that's going to crush you. And you might be like 5 cars back, and you can't really tell or the perspective's off, so you can't really tell what's happening. But
you're not really feeling the imminent danger because you've got like 4 cars of people in front of you that are going to get crushed.
You're kind of like, okay. But the effect is cool. Like you get pushed and you stop and stall.
Yeah.
And again, it's the same kind of thing they did with the dance scene, which is also when the dance scene flips and the lights all change and stuff. It's just awesome. It's a legitimately great ride. I wish I had space on my list for it. Yeah, I think that's an amazing pick. I think you did good.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's like a region here where some of these are gonna be interchangeable to me, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good pick because I love that ride. So, and it's hard, right? Because we're talking about the rides we love, and you tell me I have a fast pass to get on Mickey and Minnie's, my face is already smiling. So, and just thinking about it, we're smiling and we're laughing, and it's just a legitimately great ride. So, and that's what makes Disneyland special.
Yeah, and when the last time we went to Disneyland, we only had one day, and we literally did 30 rides.
Yeah, we did 30 rides in
so,
one day.
Saying our top 5 is hard because you love all of them, but for me, this one deserved to be on my list.
I think that's totally fair. Yeah, I can't critique that one. All right, my number 5 is Big Thunder Mountain.
All right.
Big Thunder Mountain, baby. I love Big Thunder. This is the one that bumped Pirates for me, and the very specific reason for that would be this is a lot of people's first roller coaster. This is it's not necessarily a smooth experience, but you know there's a lot of straight shots in it. It flows really well. The story's actually kind of cool. It's pretty fun. And again, we're talking about the Disneyland version here. So I have seen the fire effect work in the past, and I love that. And I think it's just when we're on it, you like laugh nonstop, and that brings a smile to my face. I grew up with this ride. This ride's had issues over the years, and you know, kind of a dark history and stuff. But I legitimately love this ride. It's in an incredible spot. The theming is on point. I've never really seen it run down. Like the paint job's always really fresh and looks good. And it's just a legitimately fun ride. This is the ideal first coaster for any family to get on. If you're scared of coasters, like I was growing up, I didn't ride a roller coaster really until Big Thunder. And this wasn't my first roller coaster, but this was the first one that I actually enjoyed. So I had the siblings that were like, okay, get on this coaster. It's not that bad. And then it scares the crap out of me. So to finally go on one as a kid where it's like, yeah, this is awesome. This is what coasters can be. It doesn't always have to be scary. It's not, you know, this ride only goes, 30 miles an hour or whatever it is. It's not, it's not one of the 80-mile-an-hour ones we've been on. So I just legitimately love this ride. And I think that the Fast Pass is fair. And again, with the location, it's one of those rides we kind of hit up while we're on our way to something else. It's like in the perfect spot for something like that. So we've just been on it so many times, and I just love it. Every time I'm on it, I got this big smile on my face, like I said, and I shoot the goat when we're going by it. I got my finger pistols out. I love seeing like the turtle animatronics, the ninja with all the Ninja Turtle names on them. I think the cave with the stalactites and stalagmites are really cool. I think that scene's actually pretty sick. And you get a little sprinkle from the waterfall, which I could do without, but the overall aesthetic of that particular portion of the ride, I think, is gorgeous. And I just think it's so fun. And I take my friends on it. I've taken my family members on it. I've taken people who don't like roller coasters on it. And, they got the smile on their face, that pep in their step, like they say, So I had to put it on here because it means a lot to us. And I'm always going to ride it. I'm always going to love it. It's in a spot where I don't think they're ever going to get rid of it. It'll be there for a very long time. And so it made my list. I love this ride. I'll always ride this ride. If somebody says, I want to do Big Thunder Mountain, we got it. We're going to Big Thunder Mountain, baby. We're going to ride the Thunder. And every time we're in the queue, I should mention, every time the audio goes, the wildest ride in the wilderness, we say it.
Yeah.
So this is the ride you want to be in the back for.
Yes.
I love the back on this ride. And everyone, if you can get a ride during fireworks and you hit that perfect bounce right over the ledge to see the fireworks over the castle, that's special, man. That's what Disney magic is kind of about for me. And so this ride hits it for me. I love this ride. I think this is like an 8 out of 10 ride for me, and I just love it. So Big Thunder Mountain, baby. I ride the mountain.
I think it's a great pick. Like I have no notes and no qualms. So you talked about a lot of the things that I would talk about as well. So yeah, I think number 5. That's a very.
We're not fighting on this one.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Not yet. We'll see as we get farther.
Yeah, let's see what got above it, and then we'll kind of get a feel.
Then we'll talk.
Yeah, that's fair. It's at Disneyland. It's in Frontierland. If you get the opportunity to ride it, I think it's worth riding, even if you would normally sit on the sideline. I really can't recommend it enough. Unfortunately, it does go down for refurbishment every once in a while, which is kind of a knock against it. But overall, it's smiles all around, and people are getting off of that ride and they want to get back on it. So don't be too afraid of this one. Honestly, you don't go upside down.
It's not a scary coaster.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No, not at all. And I mean, when the lap bars, they just kind of go, okay, test it, and they just kind of push up on it, and they're like, okay, get out of here. You know, they're kind of like, this. You know, you're not in for too big of an intense ride, so it's a legitimately great ride. So I love Big Thunder Mountain.
All right, my number 4 is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh.
Because how could you not put it on your list, David? I get that it's an honorable mention. I get it. But no. This ride is quintessential Disney.
It is.
This ride is an opening day attraction. This ride was what Walt wanted.
Yeah.
And it deserves to be on everybody's list. And I will fight you. I will say what David said about Disney World versus Disneyland is 100% true.
Unfortunately. I do think the queue is pretty cool at Disney World.
The queue is much better at Disney World.
Yeah.
But the ride at Disneyland and the fact that you enter and you're riding through the Blue Bayou where people are eating dinner and it's like you got gorgeous. The crickets and chirping and you got little banjo playing, you got the ambiance. It's just chef's kiss. And this ride is just so fun. It's a long ride. You sit in the air conditioning. You get 2 little like bunny hills that you go down. You get to hear cool music. You get to see treasure. There's a dog. There's chickens. There's cats. There's pigs. Like, I don't know. There's just so many different things in this ride. And like I said, I didn't go to Disneyland until our honeymoon. So I didn't really have like a nostalgia for this ride growing up. I didn't really know much about it. Honestly, I think I'd seen a couple of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies before I rode this for the first time. So I don't mind that there's Captain Jack Sparrow because I didn't really know what it was like without Captain Jack Sparrow. But I just love this ride and the operations are amazing.
They are amazing. And the cast members are always super nice on that ride too. It's true. Honestly,
sometimes the operations are too good because they'll get to a point where they'll have so many boats that they send out that you're kind of waiting at the top when they bring you back up.
I was about to complain about that, yeah.
So sometimes they go too fast, but it's really just how the water's running. It's not really anything else that they can control. But yeah, I love this ride. I love that it's now on Lightning Lane or Fast Pass. I just think it's a really fun ride. And if you need some time in the air conditioning, it's not a waste of time to sit there for 20-25 minutes and go through this ride that essentially was a ride that Walt wanted.
Yeah, so I think that's fair. I want to bring up some of my negatives about it and why it got bumped a little bit. So, like I said, don't get me wrong, it's a top tier ride. It's incredible. The problem is we can only get 5. And one of the deciding factors for me was not everybody gets to do the Fast Pass stuff. And that stupid queue comes out and over the bridge now. And that everyone's out in the hot sun for that particular part. And I'm like, damn, that really sucks. So I feel bad for the people that are kind of stuck in that.
But the wait's not always that long. Usually it's 15 to 20 minutes.
It can be, yeah.
And that's not bad. So if you go during the holidays, yes, you're probably going to be standing in the sun. But if you go like on a weekday or if you go to it, not at the first, like in the very middle of the day, you're probably not going to be waiting in that long.
I don't know. I swear every time we go by it, it's going over the bridge now. And it like zigzags out into New Orleans Square and stuff. It's really awkward.
The line does make New Orleans Square a lot more congested when it is backed up. I 100% agree with that.
And the line can be kind of deceiving too because it goes back behind Pirates sometimes. And if the switchbacks are opened and stuff. So it'll go back behind Pirates and then come forward. So if you're kind of just browsing and being like, oh, maybe it doesn't look that bad, it can actually kind of zigzag back where you can't see. So that's just one little negative. Like, we usually just do fast passes and then we'll catch this ride when it's got like a 15-minute wait or something like that. But I feel bad. I feel genuinely bad for the people that are up and over the bridge and they're kind of stuck waiting there and you can't really get out of that line and you got traffic coming from 2 different directions, one next to you and one against you. And so that part sucks for me. And the queue is not particularly inspiring at Disneyland. And I do think that, over time, some of the scenes have changed and the story's kind of like, okay, well, maybe it's a little too Jack Sparrow centered now. They've removed some effects. Like, I used to really like that fog effect. But the other thing that really made me push this off my list, and I think you'll agree, is it only takes one person to mess this ride up. You can have a person with their flash on trying to record the ride. You can have people just talking and it echoes really bad. So I've been on some boats on this ride and then you're stuck with them for 15 minutes where someone's just, they're holding their phone up. I've seen people with like the selfie sticks holding it up and recording. So unfortunately, and I guess this can kind of apply to a lot of different rides,
Yeah.
but it only takes one person to mess a ride up. Just try to have some respect for, you know, your fellow guests and stuff. So this is another one actually I really like sitting in the back row for. You're kind of just chilling. You don't really get wet from the 2 drops. But I do have a major issue with you get to the end of the ride and the boats just start stacking up at that lift hill. And I think that's kind of weird, and you're kind of just sitting in the middle of a scene. I think if I was a kid and that happened, I'd be kind of confused, because if you're in the thought that, you know, this is all real, these are real pirates kind of fighting and stuff, you're actually following the story. And maybe I'm giving kids too much credit here, but you know, it'd be a little confusing being sat in the middle of some guys shooting guns at each other, and you're kind of waiting to go up a hill. So to me, that's a little wonky. Obviously, this ride is loaded with iconic scenes, like the dog with the key, and I think I've mentioned probably like 10 times to you as we're going through it how much I love like the ember effect built into the logs as they're burning down and stuff like that. So again, I legitimately love this ride. If you get stuck for the full 15 minutes, my butt usually falls asleep towards the end of it. But that's a David problem, not necessarily anyone else's problem. And you know, there are seats on this ride where you might just sit in a puddle from the ride before you, and you get a rash or whatever, and you're uncomfortable for a few hours. But that's a legitimate problem. So obviously, it's an incredible ride, but I did end up bumping it. And I know you're disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself.
I am disappointed. And I think my butt has gotten a little wet from this ride. I've never sat in a complete puddle, so that might be a little bit of an exaggeration. But I do think there are some problems if you are sitting at the bottom of the hill waiting to go up. I get that.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
But I feel like, for me, I'm looking at the enjoyment I get out of the ride and what the ride is supposed to be, and what it adds to the park, the value that it adds to the park. And so for me, because this is, you know, something that Walt wanted, it's a key centerpiece of the park. I don't think it will ever go away at Disneyland.
No.
I think that this deserves all the respect, and I think it deserves to be on my list.
And my number 5 is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Shenanigans. Shenanigans.
No, you should be proud of yourself. You sold me on it. It had to be said out loud for me to realize my mistake. Pirates is a special ride. It is what Walt wanted. It could even be number 4, but for the sake of the video, I am officially redacting my previous pick. I'm sorry, Big Thunder. I'm sorry to all the pirate heads out there. Parrot heads? Parrot heads would be pretty funny.
Well, parrot heads are Jimmy Buffett fans.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. So pirate heads, to all the pirate heads out there, I apologize. Please forgive me, and you don't have to go straight to... You probably already commented on the video, but I apologize. I have righted my wrong. I do love pirates. I think hearing it out loud, talking about how I went with my dad and everything, it had to be adjusted. This is the correct decision. So we're still figuring out our formula for this show, but this is the correct choice. So apologies. But without further ado, my number 4.
I'm scared now, let me tell you.
Indiana Jones Adventure.
All right.
Again, this is going to be a little bit of a nostalgia pick, but I also think I have a reason that it's not just nostalgia. So I vividly remember going on this ride for the first time. It had literally just opened, and I was with my father, and he's holding my hand, and we're going through the temple queue. And this was before we waited outside and he got into the temple, and you were still backed up within the temple. Now they kind of like shoot you through the temple. You're not really in it that long. But I remember my dad and I watched Indiana Jones growing up together, and we're standing there in the temple together. He's holding my hand. I'm terrified at this point because the ambiance in that room or in that whole queue is
pretty creepy. It could be creepy
so
if you're
creepy.
a kid, yeah.
And we were at the part with the spikes and the skulls were there, and I'm like, oh my god, people have died in this room. So I was terrified as a kid. I'm shaking, man, and my dad's telling me, and I have no idea what to expect. I don't know what it looks like. I never saw any like promotional video or anything like that. And so my dad's telling me, no, it's gonna be okay. Indiana Jones is gonna save us if anything bad happens. And we don't know that anything bad's gonna happen because, you know, we had just been on all these little kid rides and everything. So I'm sitting there and I'm terrified, and my dad thinks this is the perfect opportunity, and I've told you this story, to stomp on the stupid booby trap triangle. My dad stomps on it, and I go, Dad, what are you doing? I'm assuming we're about to get like impaled or shot with darts or anything like that. And back then, I don't know how many people remember this, or maybe it's my little kid imagination, but it used to make like a sound effect when someone would stomp on those every once in a while. And in my head, I assumed my dad was getting killed. And so I started freaking out, and he's laughing at me, and my family's laughing at me, and, I guess that's character building. But anyway, so we get on the ride. I don't remember much about the ride itself at that point. I probably was like in a trance-like state. I was probably terrified. But now, I think Indiana Jones is just an incredibly fun ride. I love the story involved. I think the instructional video is fantastic. I think it's legitimately
It's one of the
funny.
best instructional videos for sure.
It really is. And I think it's cool that the queue has like a couple interactive things, like pulling the rope and, you get to that room with like the dome in it and it just looks really cool. So overall, the queue is actually pretty sick. And the ride is it's so fun. It's a dark ride. It's kind of like a roller coaster, but not really. You don't really feel like you're on a roller coaster.
It's more of like a thrilling dark ride.
Yeah,
it's not really a roller coaster because there's not like hills and things like that.
But if you were a kid and you didn't really know, you can kind of confuse the two. But I think it's incredible. I think it's just so fun. The audio built into like the car itself is so cool. And the reason I had to have this on my list was because when we did the Adventures by Disney, you remember.
I thought you were going to say this.
That's what set it over the top for me because I've always had a love for this ride, even after being tormented on it as a child. I've always thought it was really cool, and I thought it was like the pinnacle of fear that you could the hurdle you could get over as a kid. And so to do that, and then it's just stuck with me forever. And then when we did our behind the scenes tour of the Indiana Jones Adventure ride at Disneyland, we got to like go up to the control panel and see how the car actually works. You physically control a vehicle right in front of you. You get to lift the hydraulics and change how it's kind of like tilted and stuff. And they kind of show you how it's all programmed. And being a programming nerd, I love that stuff. So I think you remember like the look on my face. I was like in like a childhood wonder.
I wish we could have recorded it because he was just like a little kid again, and I love that memory. It's a memory I'll cherish. And
it was just cool being behind the scenes of Indiana Jones. I'm like seeing everything running on like Windows XP. No, it was worse than that. I can't remember, but it was on like an old version of Windows. It's running like a really old basic kind of operating system and programming language anyway. So, and you could see like they had like a screen where all of the track and where all the cars were on it, and it's just like this is really cool. So I love that part about it, and I've had like a renewed appreciation for this ride over the years, and that kind of contributed to it. And I just think it's fun. You go through it's a legitimate adventure. It's loaded with Easter eggs in it. It's got like the fun Mickey ears on the skeleton, if you've ever seen that. I remember thinking the snakes were real when I was a kid, and they hop out at you. Again, it's just there are pieces that are broken. It goes down all the time. That drives me freaking nuts. But it's a great ride. I think in its full version of itself, I think it's just a great ride. And I can't wait to ride it every time. I think it's worth rope dropping if you get the opportunity. I can't recommend it enough. I think it's basically the pinnacle of dark ride thrillers. And that's a pretty high praise for me. And to top it all off, you get to see Indiana Jones at the end, and you have a connection with him, and he has a connection with you because you both hate tourists. So that's kind of my thought. I love that ride. I think it's just fantastic. I have two complaints. One, it breaks down fairly often. And they told us this on the behind the scenes tour, like the number one cause for things breaking down on that ride is like a water bottle getting on the track.
People dropping stuff.
Yeah, it's almost exclusively people dropping stuff. They have to shut the whole ride down if anything gets on the track, and then that takes a while to clear and run several cars and stuff like that. So that's the first complaint, is it's very easy to shut down. My second complaint is I don't really like the hip buster seat dividers. It can actually hurt. If you're a little bit larger like me, you're gonna kind of shift in your seat and get kind of beat up a little bit. So I call them the hip busters. And other than that, though, I think it's almost flawless. It's just a ridiculously fun ride. I love it. You get that driver's seat. You get the front row, man.
David will blame you if you're in the driver's seat.
Well, I blame you anyway because you're the one that looks in the dude's eyes.
I don't look in the eyes.
You're not supposed to look in the eyes, and then everyone does it for some reason, and then chaos ensues.
It's not me, though. It's never me.
Yeah, well, she says that, but you never really know, I guess. There's no way to prove it. And, if you don't look at the eyes, the ride is just a meander stroll through a pretty little temple, but then, people mess it up. So, love that ride. I think it's definitely worthy of top 5. I just wish operations and the fact that it shuts down. I wish that was a little bit better. That's my only complaint. So. Yeah,
I mean, I do love this ride. I will say it did not make my top 5. The reason being, any ride that breaks down so much that I can maybe go to Disneyland for a 2 or 3 day trip and maybe not even get to do it without having to wait over an hour because every time I go over there it's broken, is not going to make my top 5. I'm sorry. I just couldn't do it. I also think the restraints are kind of bad. I don't really enjoy that. I also don't really like all the changes that they have made to it over the years. I'm not looking at it through a nostalgia lens again because I didn't ride this until I was an adult. But they've made some changes for the newest Indiana Jones movie. I could take them or leave them. They need to stop pandering to the newest thing on this. The other complaint that I have about this ride is the queue. Not the queue inside, but just the fact that it's so long. Like you walk like, I think we looked at our Fitbit one time and I think you walk like a mile total just to get in and out of this ride. Like that's ridiculous. And I get that they have to actually take you outside of the park to do the ride, just because it's such a big ride. I get it. But as a consumer, not my favorite thing. And then if you are going and it's a posted 30 to 60 minute wait, you're going to be waiting outside for the majority of that time. And then they randomly start to funnel you through the temple and you miss all the cool stuff inside.
Weird. Yeah, they do.
Because they hold you outside. And so that's more of an operations thing, probably, than a queue thing. But I just have a few complaints about the ride that is why it's not in my top 5. Do I think it's an amazing ride? Absolutely. Should you do it if you go to Disneyland and it's not broken down? Absolutely. But for me, it just didn't make my top 5.
I think that's a mistake, though. I think when you go into this, you kind of assume that the rides are fully functionable and you're just grading the ride based off of what the ride is. And I will say about Indiana Jones, the Fast Pass is nearly worthless. Like, if you book a Fast Pass and you go to use it, you're literally only skipping the outside portion of the queue and you can't see what the queue looks like on the inside. So I usually don't recommend people booking the Indiana Jones Fast Pass unless you can physically see that the outside queue is nuts. And I actually, when we have an open Fast Pass slot, like we're kind of just waiting around, we will book this on the off chance that it does go down and they give you a redemption pass that you could use for any ride because it does go down fairly often. So you're kind of banking on someone dropping something or something kind of. I think that it is top 5 though. I think Indiana Jones, when it's working and everything's functional, and that's how I kind of graded my list. I didn't want to like knock something for being out of service or something like that. So as a whole, the ride itself, the story, the music, the adventure is legitimately incredible. And I think it's a top 5 ride.
All right. So my number 3, and this might be a surprising pick for you, I'm not sure, is Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. Okay. I don't know if he's mad that it's number 3 or if he's mad that it's not higher or if he's mad that it's on my list. I think he's mad that it's not higher. But hear me out.
Okay, I'm listening.
I have no love for the Star Wars franchise. None. Like, I've seen all the movies, we've watched most of the series until they started making way too many series and then we stopped. But it just doesn't, it's not something that I grew up with, it's not something that really excites me. Especially when you consider the subject of this particular ride are the newest movies, which were not great.
That's a legitimate concern.
Most people's standards.
That's a legitimate problem.
I will say, if they probably were to retheme this as like original trilogy, it might be number 2. I don't know. We'll see. For me, I just love this ride. It's not just a ride though. It's like a whole experience.
Yeah.
It takes you probably like a half hour or maybe longer than a half hour to get through this whole thing because you go from like room to room to room. And that's after the wait. And this ride always has a wait. So unless you catch it right after it comes back up, after it was broken down or closed, then you can probably get through it really fast. But for me, just the excitement that always happens in this ride, it's a technological marvel. We actually met one of the Imagineers that worked on this ride and just...
Shout out to Rick.
Yeah, shout out to Rick.
Rick was
awesome. Amazing. It's so fun. It's just, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, obviously, if you've ridden it once, you kind of know what's going to happen, but like, it's a legitimate adventure. You feel the sense of peril. You feel like, you know, bad things might happen to you if you don't get out of this scenario, and the animatronics are really cool. There's a scene that always makes everybody freak out where Kylo Ren has his lightsaber in the ceiling, and that's just so cool. The reason why it's not higher on my list, I'll say, is because there is some, you know, division based off of which side of the ride you get on. You go through some experiences leading up to getting on an actual ride vehicle, and that determines if you get on the left or the right. And depending on if you get it on the left or the right, you see some different things.
Yeah.
So one of the sides is honestly better than the other. And that's just, I think we both agree one of the sides is better than the other.
Yeah, it's not even close.
So that kind of bumps it down a little bit. But just the amount of bang for your buck you get on this ride, the amount of technology that they created and were modified to make this ride, and like the fact that you go on it and there are moments where you just look up and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a real place. I see this in the movies, but it looks like this is the place that was in the movie. And you just go through this full story that could be made into its own movie. It's an amazing ride.
It is. Yeah.
I still remember very vividly the first time I rode it.
Yeah.
It's people get emotional getting off this ride. Anytime I take somebody new to Disneyland, I feel like, or Disney World, because it is at Disney World as well. I'm like, we have to do this ride regardless of anything else. We have to do this ride because it's so different from pretty much everything else that you can ride at the resort. So that is why it is my number 3. Yeah. And again, I already outlined why it's not a little bit higher on my list, but I'm really interested to see what David says about this.
Yeah, I think it is actually a pretty sick ride. It's not my cup of tea in the sense that, I grew up with the original trilogy. I'm a purist in that sense. My dad and I watched those together. I know I'm talking about my dad a lot, which is weird. But
nostalgia lens.
It's a nostalgia lens, yeah. And so to me, it was a little wonky that they made this ride, and it was like the newest movie, and so it kind of felt a little marketing schemey. I probably should have had it as like an honorable mention, but I already had 2. But the technology is nuts, right? Like it's top of the line. It's like the pinnacle of dark rides in that sense. I think that the animatronics are kind of janky. It's a little wonky in some places. I think that it kind of sucks in my opinion, it sucks that the cast members have to like role play on this ride.
Yeah.
I always feel bad. Maybe they like that. Maybe some of them like being mean to the guests.
Honestly, I think some cast members who have been on a ride where they had to be nice to everybody despite how badly they were acting are probably like, oh my gosh, I get to be mean to people.
Yeah, this is great.
There,
yeah, they like that. They eat it up. Yeah, that's actually a good point. So the highs are super high on this ride, and then in my opinion, the lows are kind of whatever. But when you first see the Stormtrooper room, I don't want to spoil too much. I don't know how many people have actually been on this ride that watch these videos, but it's breathtaking. The first time you see it, that's like, holy crap, I'm in the Star Wars universe. Yeah. And I'm less impressed by, you see the pre-show, you get on the transport vehicle and you end up somewhere else. People are like, their minds are kind of blown by that. For me, I don't particularly think that's that impressive. It's kind of, it's a fairly simple effect. But I think like the X-Wings in that region look really cool. Like you kind of get pushed through some of the cooler stuff about that queue. That queue's relatively boring until you get to the transport vehicle. And I want to kind of like look at the X-Wing and be like, oh, Rachel, take my picture. And there's no time for any of that. Yeah. You reach the Stormtrooper room and you're like, whoa, this is incredible. It's massive. The scale of this ride is ridiculous. And they force you through it. So unfortunately, the things I really love about the queue kind of get pushed past it, unfortunately. But then the story is pretty cool. I like the idea of just being the rebel, and where the base is, and they're trying to get it from you, and all that. I think the story is very cohesive and it makes sense, and I like that stuff. So like you said, everyone likes the lightsaber coming through, or like the stormtroopers shooting blasters at you, and you actually like see you can kind of see the lasers coming through. So it's a legitimately great ride. Honestly, it's beautiful. I don't really like where it's located within the park. It's in a really weird spot.
It is kind of a weird spot.
The signage for it, man, it's
well, because it's a secret base.
It's a secret base.
You're supposed to be going to a secret base, so they make it a little too secret. Probably.
They make it a little too secret, and I feel I've seen it. I've seen people when this first came out, and you had to do the stupid pass system, and it breaks my heart to think about. But people came from all over the world to ride this ride. Didn't know about the pass system, weren't able to get on this ride, and I've seen people sitting out in front of it crying because they weren't able to get on it. So that kind of soured me on it a little bit. The early stages, and now it's changed, right? Anyone can get on it. It's not like that anymore. But even now, if you're from a different country and you don't really know where it's at or something like that, I could see you walking by this and not realizing that there's a ride right there. So I think that's a legitimate concern. Still a great ride. I'm not mad that it's on your list. It's great. And if it was the original trilogy, I would probably be stoked about this ride. That's my childhood, essentially. That was like the only sci-fi thing I've ever really loved, genuinely, was the original Star Wars trilogy. And I could honestly see it in the future where it does get rethemed. Honestly, I could
definitely see that. I don't see a world where they tear this out because it is still very new and it's huge.
And it's gorgeous. It's still a beautiful ride.
It's amazing, but I think they could retheme it pretty easily and do it as the original trilogy and make it, a lot more relevant to a lot more people.
Yeah, I think so. And a big shout out to like the Imagineers that got like the cannons working again. Because, we've been on it, I don't even know, 40 plus times.
Yeah, a lot.
And the cannons worked the first couple times we were on it and never since. And now they got them back up and running.
So there was something else I wanted to mention. Like, So this ride, when it first came out, it went down a lot.
Yeah, it did.
I acknowledge that. They actually didn't fix part of the ride in order for it to stay open.
Yeah.
Which I kind of appreciate. Like, yes, the cannon's moving in that one room. It's a really cool effect when it works, and I'm excited to go back and see it working again. But I am really glad that the Imagineers figured out a way to keep the ride functioning that in a way that didn't really sacrifice the experience that much so that you could ride the rest of the ride. Because this is a long experience. If there's one 5 to 10 second issue was making the ride go down, then yeah, turn it off until you figure out how to fix it and then fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is another one where a hat falling off of someone's head can shut the ride down. We waited in line literally 2 hours for this ride before, got to where you get loaded up into the prison cell, and it broke down, and they gave us a pass to come back to it, and it never came back up that day.
Yeah.
So that's a little disheartening.
But that, again, was very, very close to when it opened.
It was.
They've worked out a lot of the kinks since it's opened.
Yeah.
But
it's a great ride.
Yeah. I really think it deserves to be on my list. Again, I don't really have a lot of nostalgia for the other rides in the park. So for me, because of the technology, because of how cool and long this experience is, like, I'm excited to take my mom on it for the first time. My mom doesn't care about
She's
Star
never
Wars.
watched Star Wars in her life.
But I'm really interested to see what she thinks about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, there aren't many intellectual property type themes that I would be like, oh, I want to take my mom on this, even though she has no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
But it's just the technology and how cool this ride is.
It is. It's cool. It's a cool ride. All right. My number 3. Let's take a look. The Haunted Mansion. It's the Haunted Mansion, baby. This is quintessential Disney to me. There's been a lot of information to come out over the years about how, they were conflicted about how scary to make the Haunted Mansion. I vividly remember walking through New Orleans Square, and you reach a point where the music changes and it goes through your head, and as a kid you're like, this is something not right. And the sightlines to this ride are incredible. You could see the mansion from so far away, and you kind of know something's over there, and you got a little bit of mystery going on. It's not quite the same as the other buildings. It's off in the distance. You're not really sure how far away it is and everything. And they've recently changed the queue for this, so it's a little bit better. But originally the queue did kind of, whatever. But the Haunted Mansion ride to me was me growing up. I hit this point where I'm not going to be scared of this ride. This ride's going to be awesome. And you get in the ride. Again, the operations are incredible on this ride. You get the stretching room, which is iconic. You have the wallpaper. People buy the freaking wallpaper for this ride just to put it up in their house. The trash cans are iconic. I mean, the Disneyland trash cans, they're all themed. But this is the one. It's like the cream of the crop for the trash can collectors. But anyway, so you get on this ride. I think the theming is just incredible. I think the music is iconic. I think the ride vehicle is comfortable and the pace is perfect. I think there's enough mix of animatronics and projections and the storytelling and everything. What the story is just walking up to this freaking place. Something's not right about this mansion. I know I'm going into that mansion and we're gonna figure out what's up with this. And as they start explaining the ghosts and how everything has come together and how this house has history and you feel it, and it's iconic. It's a quintessential Disney ride. This is what kids look forward to going on. This is what parents look forward to going on. And I'm taking the Christmas theme out of it, or the wreath theme out of it, but I do legitimately love the wreath theme, and I know that's like a kind of a hot take online. They don't want the original touch, and I mentioned earlier, I'm a purist in that sense, but if you do something right and you make all the correct changes and you invest the amount of time and money into doing it right, and I think they do that with the Christmas wreath theme, but I'm taking that out of it. Just the base Haunted Mansion to me is an incredible ride. I love everything about it. I think that the animatronics, you have a good collection of new and old with these animatronics. I love the story. I love the attic. I love the effects that are being used. I love that there's the Hatbox Ghost that people have invested thousands of hours trying to figure out how Disney Imagineers did it. I think that's incredible. I think that people knowing the names of all the ghosts throughout the whole attraction, and we're finding schematics from decades ago that they had one idea to put the wax figure in and never really had the opportunity to do it. And so they added that, and it's kind of loaded with Easter eggs, and the history of Disney exists within this ride. I think it's just incredible. It makes me wish that there were more Omni-Mover attractions, honestly, because this flows so well and it's just done so well. You don't feel like this ride ends early or is too long or anything. You're just experiencing the Haunted Mansion, and you get a story told to you while you're just sitting there. And I think that's incredible. And I wish there was just more like it. I wish there was more of it. I think it's a really good introduction to kids about not being afraid of some of these other rides that look really spooky, but once you get in there, they're dancing and singing and having a good time. It doesn't have to be scary. It walks that tightrope really well, in my opinion. And I have a love for this ride. I think it's legitimately incredible. I love this ride. And you know that. You know I love this ride.
No, I mean, I know he loves this ride, and I agree. It's a great ride. Like, I love the mix of silly and spooky, and I think it's good for kids, it's good for adults. I think, like, everybody will find something to enjoy on this ride, and yeah, I agree. It's a good ride.
It's a banger.
And I think that, like, I'm excited to see, we haven't been back to Disneyland since they opened. It finally has its own merchandise shop, and so I'm excited to go see that. We didn't actually get to walk through the queue because the line every time we went was so short, so I do want to take a deeper look at the new queue that they just reimagined.
That's another thing too. Yeah, I feel like the queue can be long, but you can find times where this queue is not that bad, and it's pretty sweet. So I think it's a good time investment, line per ride duration. I think it's actually a really good investment, and I think you're gonna have fun. I see people get off of this ride, and I hear people say, "Hurry back!" You know, everybody. You got the girl at the end, so I think it's incredible. It's funny that the gift shop opened like the day after we
yeah, it did.
There.
It was like that same week,
unfortunately. So I know there's some conflict online about where that's located and what it looks like, but I'm excited to have a Haunted Mansion specific merchandise store. I think that's going to be really cool. But I think this ride is what I look for in theme parks. The theme is ridiculously incredible. It's told so well. I can't reiterate enough just how much I love this ride. If I went to Disneyland and didn't ride this ride, I would consider that trip relatively a failure. And I don't think I've ever done that. I think I've made an effort to ride this ride every time I've been.
No, we do. And it never really breaks down. So it makes it really easy to ride it. I mean, sometimes, especially when they do have the holiday theming going on, it might be a little bit of a longer wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get on this ride. If you want to get on this ride, you will get on this ride. And it's a good time. It's, again, a nice time in the air conditioning. There's points where you like lean backwards and you can like crack your back a little bit. It's a fun ride. It's a good time.
They do a really good job of making it handicap accessible too.
Yeah, even though it's an omni mover, they still will stop it if there's somebody that needs it to be stopped.
Yeah, and you skip some of the like the stretching room and stuff. I think you go down through a different path, and they put you out right next to where you would get on. So it's actually pretty friendly in that sense, and I appreciate that. So I just think it's a beautiful ride. It's a fun ride. It's a quintessential Disney. It hits all the boxes for me. I can't think of a negative of this ride. Outside of maybe some of the effects are a little hokey, but that's kind of the charm of it. Like that's kind of what they're trying to do. And I just think the history is so interesting. And you know, there's a lot of different YouTube channels out there that dive into the history and the secrets and that kind of stuff about just the Haunted Mansion. And I think that's beautiful. And I think it says a lot about what this ride is. It had to be on the list.
All right, let's get to my number 2.
Rachel's number 2.
It is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Okay, this should not be at number. Well, it's not even on your list anymore because you changed it. But this ride is like, we've been on so many roller coasters, all over the United States. We haven't been all over the world yet. We're hoping to change that soon. Well, we are changing that soon. But this is one of my favorite roller coasters, even though it doesn't have any of the tricks in its bag.
It really doesn't.
Going upside down, or your cart doesn't spin around,
or launches.
anything.
There's no launches. There's no,
It's simple, and it's simple joy. That's what this ride is. When David was talking about it before he changed his number 5, he was saying something about how I always laugh and I have a big smile on my face. I do. This ride, it takes you up a hill and then it just lets you loose and you just fly down this mountain. And I pop out of my seat at different points. One time he literally had to like catch me. Yeah. There was a lap bar. I was gonna be fine, but he like grabbed me like, oh, and like I slide into him when you're going, around the corner, and you go through dark spaces and then light spaces and dark spaces. Like, and if you do get an elite firework ride, it is perfection. This ride is just so fun. Like you said about Haunted Mansion, that if you went to Disneyland and you didn't get to ride this ride, you would view it as a failure trip. That's how I feel about Big Thunder Mountain. Like if I don't get to ride this ride at least twice on my trip, I'm going to be having a sad time. Like it's such a fun ride, and the queue is like not normally that long. It's pretty much shaded as well, so it's not like, you're going to be standing in the hot sun waiting if it is a little bit longer. It's okay. They usually have both sides running. If they don't have both sides running, it can go a little bit slow. We've seen that happen. But yeah, I just think it's a really fun first coaster. We talked about it kind of already, so I'm not going to go into that. But I just, like I said, I've ridden lots of big roller coasters. I love big roller coasters. Don't get me wrong. They're amazing. But this is probably in my top 5 or top 10 of roller coasters in the world, just because of the amount of joy it brings and all the kids that I see in this queue having so much fun. And they're all talking about the wildest ride in the wilderness. And like, you know, if you can get in the back for this, ride it in the back because it's so much fun. Probably my only knock on it is that if you are in the very front, you're kind of blocked by the little train car.
That's true, yeah.
But I mean, you still get to be bumped out by your seat.
Well, it doesn't really matter because most of the stuff that's happening is off to your sides. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not my favorite to sit in the front. And plus, also with any roller coaster, when you sit in the front, if there's a drop, you are kind of like halfway down the drop before the drop happens. But yeah, if you can ride in the back, do it. Middle is also great. But yeah, if I go to Disneyland, I don't ride this ride, I'm going to be really sad. And like you said, it's in a great spot in the park. It's really easy to get to. You can zip over to it, then over to something else, and then zip back to it, and then over to something else. But yeah, I just really enjoy this ride and want to go on it every single time that I go to Disneyland, multiple times.
It is. It's an incredible ride. I love this ride. I've always loved this ride. I remember being too scared to ride it a few times as a kid, but I wanted it on my list so bad. I mean, I struggled with it, but Big Thunder Mountain, it's a chef's kiss ride. It's a world-class attraction.
Yes.
We think it's incredible, and just thinking about it makes me want to ride it. And that says a lot. Like, you can talk about things, you know, we've talked about cruises we've done, and that doesn't necessarily mean you want to go on it right now. But just talking about Big Thunder makes me go, damn, I wish I was riding Big Thunder today.
I wish I was at Disneyland.
I wish I was riding the mountain, baby.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great pick. I'm a little surprised at where it ended up, but we'll talk about our recap at the end. So, all right, and my number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Mission Breakout, baby.
Okay.
Mission Breakout. I don't know if there's a better ride for laughs per second because we're on
with me.
This girl. I'm telling you, no one loves being dropped more than this girl. So if something happened in her childhood.
Mom, I don't think you dropped me. I promise.
She might have. I don't know. Kathy, I think you dropped her. But she loves being dropped. But that's not the best part about this ride, honestly. So being dropped is obviously amazing and everything. And this is a ride that scared the crap out of me as a kid. Just looking at it when it was Tower of Terror wasn't going to happen. I know adults that look at this and go, that ain't going to happen, David. So the fear factor alone, just existing in its presence. I know a lot of people like the Tower of Terror in Hollywood Studios a lot better. That's for a discussion for a different day. To me, people kind of are hit and miss on this ride, but I think this ride's incredible. I think the theming and the queue, once you get inside for about 5 seconds, is awesome. It might have more Easter eggs per square inch than any other ride ever. It's kind of ridiculous how much is in this queue. I think that the pre-show, you know, a lot of people laugh about how the Guardians of the Galaxy cast kind of phoned it in while doing the pre-show stuff. I think it's funny. Yeah. I think it's actually pretty cool. You know, it's Star-Lord. I think that's really funny. And they go, you know what they call you? And Racket's like, I mean, they tell Racket he's just a rodent. I think that's all really funny. So I love seeing that there's some animatronics just in the queue. I think the dog Super Cosmo is really cute. They don't really, the little Furby guys, I forget what they're called right now, but they're only working some of the time, but I really like those guys. I love that there's a Figment up in the rafters you can kind of see, and there's lots of things in this ride that'll make you look really smart to your friends just pointing it out to them. So I went, and now I should say, and you know this, when the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie was coming out, I was super skeptical. I had read some of the comics when I was younger, and I was kind of like, okay, I don't really know much about this cast. You know, Chris Pratt wasn't super famous or anything, really. I mean, it kind of was, but not too crazy. And so watching the trailer, I was like, oh, this is cringy and kind of stupid, and I really wasn't into it.
Yeah, David's not much of like a funny Marvel fan, and honestly, most comedy movies in general, like newer ones, he's not a very big fan. So
I have a very nuanced kind of humor, and when it comes to film, and I think I'm really into like The Dark Knight, where it was super serious and things like that. So I like the and The Watchmen, you know, where it's kind of a darker universe for the comic book heroes. And so Guardians of the Galaxy coming in, they're laughing their way through their adventure. I'm kind of like, okay, whatever, this is gonna be stupid. And then I went and I saw the movie with my friends from work, and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious, and I loved the story. I loved the characters. It was easy to follow, and the music was incredible. Obviously, we'll get into that here in a second, with just about the ride. So I ended up really loving the film, even though I went into it with a really negative mindset. And so when I found out that this ride existed, I found out in kind of a funny way, because I went with my guy friends, and I hadn't been on it, and my other friend hadn't been on it, but our third friend had been on it, and he was telling us, yeah, it's okay, whatever, this is what happens in it, and we're like, oh, okay, well, we'll ride it. And so we got on it, loved it, and we berated that third friend for not hyping it up even more. So we chain rode this ride all day, me and my 3 guy friends. That was my first real experience going on this ride. We loved this ride, and I don't think I could ever go to California Adventure and not make my way onto this ride. I don't care what the wait time is. I don't care that the queue outside sucks and is kind of worthless. I mean, you're in the garden, and there's some interesting things. You're in the shade. But you're in some switchbacks in a part of the park where you can't really people watch or anything like that. So, but I legitimately love this ride. I would love more rides where you don't really know. There's a variable factor. You don't know which song you're going to get. You don't know how many drops you're going to get. I love that stuff, and I think this ride nails it. I love the song selection. I even like the Elvis one, which some people don't really like, but I think we've been on this ride like 7 times in one day, and we wanted to hit every single song. It's like a mission. You don't just have mission breakout. You got mission, song selection, whatever. But we wanted to hit every single song in one day. It's incredibly difficult, and I don't think we ended up doing it. We missed one.
We got 6 out of 7.
6 out of 7, yeah. And so that was a little disappointing. But the only real complaint I have for this, I have a couple complaints, but the queue outside, whatever. After, let me talk about the pre-show too, with the safety video. Essentially, is what it is. I think it's hilarious. I think the rocket animatronic is actually really cute and done really well. And that's kind of one of the bad sides, is when he's not working, you get some B-roll or some B version.
It's just a video version.
It's just a video version of what's happening, and it's kind of like, okay, whatever. But I think it's funny that he mutes the collector while he's talking, because he's so eccentric and over the top. I think that character is really funny. He does the thing with his glasses. Every time he does it, I do it, and I'm laughing. And I've seen it 100 times, but I still kind of get a chuckle out of it. And I always kind of make an effort to point out, hey, Racket grabs the Walkman on your way out, because
there's so many people that don't see that,
that don't realize it. And then when you get onto the ride and he hooks that Walkman into the sound system, it's like a plot point. And I think that's just so awesome how they did that. I think it looks good. The information's all there. It's just a brilliant ride. And then my only complaint is, once you get through that part, you're kind of stuck on hard concrete. You're kind of just stuck waiting for the operation.
You're basically in like a boiler room
situation.
Room, Like if you've ridden the Tower of Terror in Disney World and you haven't ridden this one, it's the same concept. You're just kind of in a boiler room waiting to be assigned a spot on a certain elevator.
Yeah, and then you're just kind of move forward, stop. Move forward, stop. And so it's kind of like, it feels very slow at that point, which is so weird, because you make your way through the other stuff relatively quickly, but then you get kind of stuck. And Disney stops their wait time counter at the pre-show, the instructional video room. So you're still in for another 20, 25, 30 minutes sometimes.
Well, and where we've noticed that a lot of times the Tower of Terror operations will be great. So like you get through that pre-show room and you're like almost right around to being assigned your spot. This ride has the opposite problem. I feel like you're almost always backed up on this ride.
Yeah, you're always backed up, And it's worth the wait, though. That's the thing. It's like, I've never gotten off this ride, and I was like, damn, I waited 35 minutes for this ride. No, I have the biggest smile on my face. People run to go see their pictures, because the photo op might be the best photo op in all of Disney properties, because I think that's just perfect. You have the view, you're about to get dropped. You don't know when you're about to get dropped, but you know it's going to happen, and boom, you get your picture taken. I think it's just perfect, and everyone has the funniest faces. Sometimes you can get blocked, which sucks, and people are doing stupid stuff in their pictures now, and that's all sad and stupid, but people move over to go see their pictures. Everyone's singing the song they just got. Like, this is like the ride where people have that pep in their step and want to ride it again, in my opinion. I think this is it. This is the adrenaline-inducing ride that makes you want to go again. So, Guardians of the Galaxy, Mission Breakout, California Adventure. I think it's like really the only ride at California Adventure where I'm like, dude, we're going. That's it. That's what we're doing. This is what we rope drop. This is what we watch the wait times throughout the day. It's not in a particularly easy spot to get to, but we're kind of hovering around, kind of trying to figure out if, kind of, you know, scope out the line, see what it looks like, and you know, after you've been on so many times, you kind of understand where the line is and what that wait time's actually going to look like instead of relying on the timer. So this is the quintessential California Adventure ride for me. I think it's incredible. I don't understand a lot of the hate that it gets. I understand if you were, and I love Tower of Terror. I legitimately think it's incredible. This is different enough for me to get excited about it again. I can go, not everybody gets this luxury to get the opportunity to go to both, but fortunately I've been able to do that, and I think I love this version better. I'm sorry, I think it's just fantastic. I would love to see them add a couple more tracks or switch some tracks out every once in a while. I don't even think that would be that.
Different songs.
Yeah,
maybe.
Different songs. That's what I meant.
But
yeah.
again, we have this problem because we ride it so much.
Right.
If you only go to Disneyland once a year or once every couple of years and you
Yeah.
ride it once or twice, you're not going to probably care that they have the
yeah.
same 7 songs forever. But this is an us problem, not necessarily a normal person problem.
True. But yeah, that's a good point. But it's legitimately incredible. I think it's an imposing building. Just looking at it, I think it looks incredible at night. I think it's a fun night ride. I think seeing Disneyland at night, and you know, I love when you get to the top and Rocket goes, "Is that Disneyland?" That's not thematically accurate.
Yeah,
I love that stuff.
That's one of my favorites.
I go, that's. I'm sorry, it's a chef's kiss ride. This is a world-class attraction by far. I would travel if someone came from across the world and went to California Adventure and told me they didn't ride this ride, I would say they messed up. Like I would think that's a legitimate mishap. They blew it.
Well, you might as well just reveal my number 1 right now.
Oh my god!
I can keep talking about this.
You want to keep going?
This is my number 1 ride. I wrote Mission Breakout. He wrote Guardians of the Galaxy. Together, it's the full title.
It's the full
fine. Yeah, this is my number 1 ride, and I don't understand why people don't like this ride. I don't understand. Like, I'm not a Tower of Terror purist. Again, I never rode Tower of Terror in California. Yeah. I never did. I've ridden it in Orlando plenty of times, but I've never ridden it in California. And so for me, it was fine that this was switched over. I totally respect if you have a different opinion. But the songs, this is like a party. Every time you get on this elevator, it is a party.
It really is.
Everybody. And like, I don't know what it is. It's just like everybody gets into it. I have never encountered that on any other kind of ride, even like the Tower of Terror in Orlando. Even the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride in Disney World Cosmic Rewind, that also has songs that you can get, but like it's a different vibe. Like this is like a community of people. Even when you're standing waiting for your elevator, everybody is like, "Oh, are you excited?
Yeah.
Oh,
have you been on this before?"
Yeah, somebody's like, "Oh, I've never ridden this before," and they're scared, and then everybody's kind of like razzing them a little bit or hyping them up to get them excited for it. Like it's like a communal experience, and I normally don't. I agree,
yeah.
But in this, I do. Everybody's just so hyped.
The community on this is what Fast and the Furious wishes their party bus was like.
This is the truth.
And it's totally totally different universes, but they wish that they had the energy that this ride had. Yeah. I guarantee it.
I agree. And this ride is just, I laugh. I have the best time. I don't do anything dangerous. I don't like leave extra room in my seatbelt or anything. You should not do that. They tell you not to do that, but you don't have to have a good time on this ride. Rocket is hilarious. The pre-show, the animatronic of Rocket is amazing.
The scenes are funny. Like they're legitimately funny.
Yeah, and I like that you can get different scenes, and it doesn't even, like the song and the scenes don't always match up. So you might get the same song, but you get a different scene instead. And that's okay. Like I love how random it is. I love you can get a different experience every time you ride it, even if you ride it 7 times in a day. If you're not rope dropping this ride, what are you rope dropping in California Adventure other than maybe the Cars ride? But like, this is such a better ride than that one, in my opinion.
Obviously we think that.
Well, I don't know if it's number 1 yet, but I don't think
baby.
it's that one. But yeah, so for me, like, this is the ride. If I'm planning a trip to Disneyland with anybody, and we're having a conversation, I'm like, I don't care what you want to do. Yeah. But when on our day that we're starting in California Adventure, I'm rope dropping this ride and I'm riding it 3 or 4 times.
As much as we can before it gets crazy.
And if somebody were to say, well, I'm not going to do that with you and I don't think you should do it either, I'd be like, then we're not going together.
Yeah,
or you can go figure out something else. But like, this is legitimately my number 1 ride in the whole resort. I want to ride it every day that I'm in the resort. I will wait for this. I will not wait for a lot of rides.
No,
like even these other rides that I do love, I will not always wait for them. Like I'll wait 10 to 15 minutes because we're trying to like bang out as many rides as we can in a day. But I'll wait for this one. We know what the queue looks like. We know how fast or slow operations are. And I don't even care that the operations are so slow because this ride is worth it to me.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the few rides where I'm like, no, I don't care, man. I'm looking at the ride. I'm looking at the line. I'm like, that's worth it. Let's get on it.
Yeah.
Let's hop in, Rachel. And I will say that the area this lives in is lacking so badly. I do not like Marvel Campus. I'm sorry if you do. I think that it's missing the mark on what it was trying to do. I think there's budget issues that came into play. I don't really think it's an Imagineer problem. I think that this ride literally saves that area.
Yeah.
I don't think I would go to the restaurants in those areas if it wasn't for this ride. I don't think I would like see any of the characters.
We probably wouldn't go into Avengers Campus if this ride wasn't there. Just because there are times where it gets super crowded, like they're having like little shows on the building nearby, and it can get really crowded in that area.
The walkways get crazy.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think they are making some improvements to Avengers Campus. We don't know when that's coming, but this ride is legitimately amazing, and it saves the area for me.
Yeah,
and
9 times out of 10, we don't even walk through Marvel Campus to get to it.
We go the other way.
Yeah, the other way. So I love it. I love that you could see it from pretty much anywhere in the park almost. Yeah. I love that you could see it on the Incredicoaster, especially at night. I swear that looks so gorgeous. You have a turn on the Incredicoaster where you get like, it slows down a little bit and you just get like the most beautiful view of Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. And I think it's what I'm looking for in theme parks. I think the theming's dead on again, as some of the other ones have been. I think the music's awesome. I would like them to switch some tracks. We're armchair engineering here. I think give us some new tracks. That's literally all I want. I do wish I could film on this ride, but I'm not one of those people that it's going to like sneak my camera out and start filming or anything like that. So just try to have some respect for some of the people with you. Don't make stupid hand gestures or anything like that while you're doing the picture.
Grab onto somebody random, because I've had that happen to me on this ride. Like somebody was so scared that they were like grabbing me to hold them down, and I'm like, you're not my problem person.
Yeah. And you mentioned I always have a really fond memory of this ride because you mentioned people getting scared right outside of their elevator. And I remember a little kid getting super scared. And I'm not the kind of guy that's like, you should be scared. But I'm like, this is going to be fun. This kid's going to be, I'm thinking this kid's going to be scared. This is going to be really funny. And you know, you can spot the criers before, it starts happening, the drops start happening. And sometimes, you get on these rides, you see the kids freaking out and you get off the ride and they're like, I love that. Mm-hmm. That's what it was all about. And every once in a while you see people holding on like with one pinky kind of like, they don't really want to look like they're scared, but they're using like a crevice in the arm rail or whatever to hold on. And that's always funny to me. I'm like, because we ain't holding on, baby.
No,
we're letting it rip. So I love this ride. I would have never ridden it as a kid. I would have been one of those kids I'm laughing at.
I would have never ridden it as a kid.
No, yeah.
So I wouldn't have ridden
that one, maybe that one.
Probably not that one, but I would have. Probably the last two, my 4 and 5 are probably the only ones I would have ridden as a child.
And that the first drop on Pirates probably would have really pissed you off. But anyway, Mission Breakout, Guardians of the Galaxy, it's the best ride at California Adventure.
Yes.
It's legitimately incredible, and I love it. I want some more of it.
But you obviously don't love it enough, because it's not your number one, so I'm really interested to see what that is.
That's true. It's not my number one. All right, the big reveal, my number one. I feel like my list has let a lot of people down already, including her. But let's see. Number one is... It's obviously Rise of the Resistance, Rachel.
You gave me a hard time!
I know, because I couldn't believe you had it at 3.
But I told you why I had it at 3.
No. Rise of the Resistance, you guys, everyone at home, I'm telling you, this is the best ride at Disneyland Resort, okay? Not because of the story necessarily, or the characters in it. The story is actually pretty cool, but I think that this ride is what dark rides need to be going forward. This has set the pinnacle of dark rides so far above what it was before this moment when this came out. Now, I know the trackless ride system existed at Tokyo Disneyland. Tokyo Disneyland has Pooh's Honey Hunt, but I'm telling you, this elevated the technology in rides so far above where we were just a decade ago that I can't emphasize enough how important this ride is going to be looked at in the future. What this has done for rides and theme parks as a whole can't be overstated. This ride is incredible. I think, I know I said earlier that, I should have mentioned it as an honorable mention. No, this is the best ride at Disneyland. I take the theme out of it a little bit. This is not a nostalgia glasses thing, obviously. I rode this ride for the first time and my mind was blown. I couldn't believe I grew up riding Peter Pan and Pinocchio and, Snow White, just the basic Fantasyland rides. And to ride this and see, oh my God, this is, and you can still do that. You can go and ride the old 1955 Fantasyland rides and then hop on this thing and it's going to blow your mind. And you have an appreciation for both kinds, right? You have to appreciate where we came from. This is where we're going. This is what it's about. I'm dead serious when I'm not being facetious or anything like that. I legitimately think that this is what rides need to be going forward. I can't emphasize enough just how fun it is. I think the immersion with the cast members is what theme parks should be. I think that's awesome. I know I mentioned I feel bad for them. No, I love what they do. I kind of bamboozled you guys a little bit.
Yeah.
This is the ride. I hate where it's located in the park, but I get it. It's so massive. The scale is ridiculous. You enter the room with the Imperial Walkers, and the first time we did it, I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And I don't have feelings for this franchise. I'm serious when I say that. But you enter the room with the stormtroopers for the first time. I teared up. I was like, "What the hell is this? This is not."
Well, and they even have some that are like robots and they're moving a little bit, so
Yeah,
it
they have
looks
just
like
enough. Yeah,
like they're people,
There's
but
people.
they're not people.
Yeah,
They're just animatronics, but like
Yeah.
it's a huge room full of stormtroopers. Like
Yeah.
it's insane.
it's the thing. Yeah, like their heads turn and they're holding weapons and their torsos turn and you're looking at this and you're like, "Holy crap! I'm in the Star Wars universe." And unfortunately, it's Star Wars. But at the end of the day, I have a ridiculous appreciation for just how great this ride is. It's this experience. It's not just a ride, and I think that the storytelling is fantastic. I think if you're a kid and you get in line for this and you kind of have some kind of understanding that, hey, what we're doing, we're not supposed to tell anybody. This is a secret. You're part of a secret club now. And you got to keep that a secret. And oh crap, the dread comes in when you realize we've been captured. This is like one of the few times where I think the projections actually look pretty good. I love the Rey projection in particular. I think that one looks good. I don't particularly like Kylo Ren and the Weasley brother. I don't really like it when you're in the jail cell. I don't really like that particular scene, but I think the jail cell is sick because he does the thing with the audio.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing I want to talk about. It's just how amazing the audio is on this ride. It's not just it's not like 7.1 surround sound. It's like way above that. It's hard to describe, especially in just one YouTube video. But I think the sound engineering alone, they spent millions of dollars and thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of hours of people's time trying to perfect what just the ride sounds like. And it's one of the few rides, in my opinion, where I don't have like the best hearing. So when we're going from scene to scene and I can actually hear what, you're looking up at Kylo Ren and he's talking about how you need to arm the shields and I can hear everything they're saying. That's big for me because I can go through an attraction and not really understand. I mean, you understand, but you only catch every other word or something because it's all muffled and stuff. But the audio, the way it's designed, it's just so brilliant. It helps so much. And
to go with the audio, like when you're in the jail cell and you're with people that have never ridden this before, and there's a point where there's some audio cues that start to happen that sound like they're coming from behind the wall.
Yeah, it's muffled and it's like movement. And
it's moving and it's coming from behind the wall, and then the wall, like things light up in the room to show you where that sound is coming from. Like they were so intentional and thoughtful about how they were doing this.
And they're drawing your eyes to particular, not just your eyes and your ears to particular locations within just a very small room. And one of the things I wanted to mention was this is like the ride where you want to be on it with someone who hasn't. You mentioned it with your mom. You want to be on it with someone who's never been on it before because there's nothing like it. It's one of the very few rides where we're like, have you been on this before? And they go, no. You're taking the front seat.
Well,
we'll sit in the back seat for these people who have never been on it. You got to experience it.
We will forego the front just so somebody who has not experienced it can experience it. And that does not happen.
That doesn't happen, because this is the ride where I feel like you need to experience this in its purest form. There's nothing better than this ride. I just wish that obviously that the theme was different, and I wish the location was a little different. It's really wonky to get to. Like I mentioned, it's easy to walk by if you don't know it's there. I do hate that about it. I mentioned it earlier, but I do legitimately hate that about it.
They need to make sure that single rider comes back and stays permanently. That would make lives a little bit easier as well. But just
I wouldn't ride it single rider for your first ride. You got to see some of the pre-show. I think you skipped some of the pre-show.
Yeah, definitely. If it's your first time riding this ride,
just do it normal.
Do it normally. It's going to be a little bit of a wait. There is a paid fast pass you can buy if you so choose to do that.
I think
it's worth it.
Yeah.
Especially your first time, and then you can decide what you want to do.
And usually, I usually recommend keeping an eye on when your time frame's going to be, and do it like when things are going to be crazy, because you know, like around 2 o'clock, everyone's done eating with their lunch. They're going to want to go and ride this, so try to get your fast pass for that time. You can bypass the massive line and go and start to do something else. So
yeah, I mean, I was lucky. We were talking about the first time riders. Like, I was lucky enough to take my sister on this for the first time, and she also has no love for the Star Wars franchise. But like, I found myself watching her almost as much as I was watching the ride, and like the looks on her face, or like the little noises she would make, like when Kylo Ren's lightsaber came through the ceiling, she's like, ah! And it's just like, you hear that and you see it every time you go on the ride. Even if the whole car you're with has done it before, there's still things that you forget or that you didn't see the first time, because there's so, like, you're in this immersive world and there's so much to see.
yeah, I think it's like one of the few rides where you could ride it a million times and see something different every time. And I do agree. I do think one side's better than the other. I wasn't bamboozling you guys on that. I do think that, because there's the big difference is there's one scene where you're going up an elevator and the Imperial Walker brings its weapons down to shoot at you. Well, one side is stormtroopers just pull a weapon out. It's like a screen. It's like a video. And that's always kind of bothered me. I mean, I think I rode this ride like 10 times before I realized the animatronic of Finn down in the corner. Yeah, and I was like,
he's kind of in the shade. Like,
yeah,
you don't have like a light on him or anything, so you don't even know.
But you hear him talking to you, and you're like, where the hell is that? Oh, and so I don't know, man. Every time I ride this ride, I just love it. And again, I think, if we're just talking about what a ride is, this is what the future is. This is what has blown my mind more so than any of these other ones. Even childhood David couldn't have ever comprehended something like this existing. And I've had my mind blown throughout my life, obviously, by different rides as a kid, and I've been fortunate enough to go, 100 times in my life. But this is the one where I went into it not really. I think the first time I went, I thought it was only at Disney World even. So yeah. I kind of whiffed like some of my research on it. And so I was like, okay, whatever, let's get on this. It's cool, it's here. Oh, I think we bought a fast pass the first time because
it was at the point where they were still having a virtual queue. So we was either try to get the virtual queue or buy the fast pass, and we for some reason couldn't do the virtual queue, so we bought the fast pass.
Yeah, I think it went instantly or something. And so when we rode this thing, I went, I can't believe this ride. I can't believe this experience. It's an experience. So yeah, I can't say enough nice things about it. Honestly, it's what I want all future dark rides to be, and I think that's like the biggest compliment you could say about something in this particular category. So it's my number one. The only way I could see ranking anything over it is because Guardians makes us laugh even more, and those were the two I was torn between. I went back and forth on this for a long time, but it's Rise of the Resistance, just strictly based on that's what everything needs to be going forward. So I could only hope that all future dark rides do a fraction of what this ride does, because it's that good.
Mm-hmm. All right, so those are our lists. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about if we're, surprised, if there's any big surprises or anything. I'm just gonna get out in front of it and say I know he's probably surprised that Haunted Mansion didn't make my list. There are some reasons for that I will not necessarily get into, because we also are going to make a video about Disney World attractions. But honestly, something you said was very similar for me. I actually prefer the holiday overlay Haunted Mansion, which is funny because I don't really like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
So I know I'm strange. Don't at me.
Do at her. She needs to hear this from someone other than me.
But these other rides I enjoy more than Haunted Mansion. I like Haunted Mansion. I want to ride it every time I go to Disneyland. It is nostalgia. It is like classic, but it's not on the level that these are for me personally. I have friends, really good friends, that are very big fans of Haunted Mansion and like have clothes and house decor and everything, and I get it. But it's just not in my top 5. I would probably put it as my number 6. I did actually him and haw and moved things around quite a bit. So I think Haunted Mansion would probably be my number 6. As far as David's list, I got bamboozled just like you guys. I thought he was mad I ranked Rise of the Resistance on my list. But I understand, because I've actually heard him go off about this ride before and how passionate he is, so it makes sense to me. I think David's list makes sense. I do think his shenanigans of moving pirates into his list after he talked about it as an honorable mention is a little bit shady, but I ultimately agree with his decision, other than the fact that Big Thunder is obviously higher ranked for me than Pirates, so I would probably have kept it on there and maybe gotten rid of something else, but again, that's just my list. I do think it's a solid list, and I think all of these things are rides that I'm super happy to get on every time we go to Disneyland.
That's the thing, right? Like, we're talking about
top
The
of,
top
of like
the
30,
cream of the crop,
yeah,
right?
like,
Yeah, this is like a bucket list place for people, and we've been fortunate enough to go so many times. So leaving something off of this list because it would have been our 6th or 7th isn't like an insult, obviously. I'm insulted that, I mean, she whiffed, right, guys, because she didn't have a Haunted Mansion on there. That's like, it's ridiculous. Her list is still very good. Like, if someone went and only did these rides, they would have had an amazing day, right? So let's kind of look at it from that perspective. If someone went to the park and this is what they did for that day, and they had to go home because they had an emergency or something, they still had a really good day. So I did some swindling and I had to change it. But in my opinion, that's the highest form of a compliment. If we're having a hot debate and she convinced me enough to make an adjustment, I think that's totally a valid thing to do. So you might see it in the future. She might scold me after we're done here and say, you can't do that anymore. But I stand by my list. I think this is probably the correct list. I think I am in the right here, personally. I think that if Rachel wanted to make some adjustments, I would allow her to, because she's got some errors happening there. I still think it's great though, so I'm not gonna beat her up too bad. I think there will be lists in the future that we're gonna have some egregious picks that I'm going to have to point out, so I'll reserve my opinions for some of those episodes instead.
Wait.
I think my biggest surprise for you is that Big Thunder was so high. I knew you loved it. I thought we had this discussion on what was better, Star Wars or Mission Breakout, a couple times. So I think I had assumed your number 1 and 2 was going to be Mission Breakout.
So
Star Wars.
another reason that I put it as number 3, we've actually gone to either Disney World or Disneyland and had the discussion, well, if we don't get to do rides today, that's okay.
That's a good point, man.
And
well,
so for me,
true.
say that, yes. If I were to have that same discussion about Big Thunder, I would be doing Big Thunder. Like, it is not okay.
That's a good point.
And that is the reason that I ranked it that way. That being said, the reason we have that discussion is because it's such a long experience.
It is very, very long.
That it does take up a lot more of your time than like a Big Thunder
100%.
would take.
And there's a chance you're waiting in. This is like, 20, 25 minutes, and then this is an hour and 20 minutes sometimes. So.
But that's the reason I had put
That's
it
very
as number
fair,
3. Because
yeah.
we have literally been to Disney World where this
right.
exists and not ridden it because we didn't have the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where I was coming at too. Like, what is the bang for the buck, as well as like if you have very limited time in the parks, what are you making your?
That's very fair, yeah. Because Disney World isn't our home park. We can get to Disneyland a lot easier from where we're at. So fitting Rise of the Resistance in is a little bit easier for us at Disneyland.
Yeah.
So that's a legitimate. It's true. We have gone to the parks and decided not to ride Rise of the Resistance that day. Sometimes that's because it was down for so long, and then the queue gets really backed up, and they're trying to offer redemption. They're going through all the fast passes they missed during that outage, so it can get complicated in that sense. So you're absolutely right. That's true. I am still devastated that Haunted Mansion didn't make it. I feel like when we're on Haunted Mansion together, I love that we're like cuddled up with each other, and I think that's just a really nice experience. I do think I like the Nightmare Before Christmas version better. I'm not gonna, but I do love Nightmare Before Christmas, which is weird because it's one of the few things that we kind of disagree on, and it's a musical and it's a Christmas movie, which are
you would think that it would be right up my alley, but it's just not.
It's just not. Yeah, it's just.
It's good. I like.
Yeah.
I'm not discouraging anybody from watching it or saying it's a bad movie.
But there's an obsession
with
it that's happening. Yeah.
That is appreciative of it. Yeah.
Sure. I think that's fair. But I do think the baseline Haunted Mansion is still an incredible ride, and it's a little bit of a. You said it would have been like your number 6 or 7 or something. So
I think it would be a solid 6.
I think that's okay. So I'm not gonna beat you up too bad. And obviously, Runaway Railway, I had to honorable mention it. I love that ride. I think it's ridiculously cute. Other than that, though. I'm a little surprised about Indy because you grew up loving Indiana Jones.
It's true. I watch the movies all the time with my family. But for me, the ride, it's a great ride. It would probably be 7, honestly. It would probably be my 7.
The queue is an
But the queue is a problem,
yeah.
and then it goes down so often. There have been trips to Disneyland where we have not ridden this ride because it's down so much.
And I think that comes into our. We came into this challenge a little bit differently. From my sense, I was like, okay, I'm going to try not to worry about how much it's actually down and just focus on what the ride is as a whole. And so I think that's where the disconnect kind of came from, because I could see me moving Big Thunder over this. If I was talking about downtime, but if I was just looking at just the ride, like if I could skip the line this is the order I would go through, because if
And me, I was taking into account like what the queue looks like.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what the wait times are, because that shouldn't matter if you love a ride. But
well, and that varies so much
Yeah,
too.
it
It's
varies so
hard.
much.
The data on
But
that's
yeah,
not great.
The queue.
so.
I was thinking the ride is not just the ride; it's also the queue. Because if you don't do that,
Mhm.
how can you like Rise of the Resistance? Yes, the ride part where you're on the vehicle is amazing.
No, I still think it's incredible.
But like part of the experience is the whole lead up to that.
Well,
so.
but the Ray room is where they end. The queue
That's
technically ends at the Ray room.
That's
so
true.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, that's what makes it complicated,
Semantics,
right? Yeah, it's semantics. So I don't know. I really want to see like what the viewers think.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. We would love for you guys to make your own top 5 list and put them in the comments.
That'd be awesome.
We'd absolutely love to see that. We may even share some on social media and things like that. Ask us questions, like whatever you guys want to do in the comments. But yeah, we would love to see more people's lists.
Yeah.
And
the support has been incredible. Honestly, we can't thank you guys enough. And if you like us enough to just listen to us rant about something so trivial, give us a like and a subscribe if you don't mind.
Yeah, and if you have any ideas for future top 5 rankings that you want us to do,
yes, please.
Please send them our way. We already have a list of ideas, but one, hearing validation for those crazy ideas would be a great thing. And 2, you might send us something that we had no idea and that somebody wanted to see. So we would be happy to make it for you guys.
That'd be really fun. Yeah, I just want to engage with you guys. So if you guys got ideas, just let us know. I think that'd be great.
But yeah, these are our lists. And until next time, I'm Rachel.
And I'm David.
And we hope this video helped you find the right direction for your next adventure. Probably at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Bye.